Do you have a problem with overpromising and underdelivering? You just want to help people. You keep telling everyone, oh, yes, I can do that for you. And lo and behold, you're overwhelmed, too stretched, and the team is hating you. Hi, my name's Alysha Randall, and I'm a fractional CFO. And I also train new and aspiring finance directors who work with startups and scale ups. And today I really wanted to talk about setting expectations. And it is certainly something that I have found challenging, particularly earlier in my career, where I wanted to prove to everyone that I can be really useful, really add value to commercial decision making. And also, I was trying to build those business partnership relationships. And by doing that, you know, to start it is you offer them some analysis or some information that's useful to them to kick off that relationship. So I did certainly find that I was in scenarios where I would spend a lot of time at the end of the month, meeting all my business partners and promising them information that I thought would be useful for them. Then we would start a month end, and I would forget that it's actually a quarter end, which meant that we had to do board reporting as well. And then the founder would tell me that an investor who potentially might invest more into the business has asked for a scenario on the current budget growth model, and if I could do that in a week. And so, as you can imagine, with all of that piling up, there was certainly plenty of things that I would have missed. And unfortunately, it was the business partnership relationships that suffered because month end couldn't be late, board reporting couldn't be late, and this particular investor that had to be done quite promptly. So the team and I would do really late nights, and then all of the things that I promised my new business relationship partners at the end of the month had to wait much longer. So one of the things that apart from learning from that multiple times, is it's great to say that you're going to deliver something, but set really low expectations as to when you're going to deliver that. So, for example, in that scenario, it's probably, you probably could do it in about 2 weeks with current workload, but you would probably need to look at saying that you'll get it to them in a month's time. It probably also would have been more useful to only promise to a couple of the business partners and leave the other business partners waiting another month before you talk about outputs that you could probably deliver them. So it is much better to under promise and then over deliver, because nobody is going to complain if you deliver a piece of work earlier than what you said you would. However, on the flip side, there is nothing worse than talking about a particular piece of work or output that you want to receive, being given a date and then not getting anything and being told 2 days later that it might take another week. So that is incredibly infuriating, particularly if you want to rely on that piece of work. So as a leader, you are very much judged on your output and not on how hard you work. And in startups, a lot of people are working really hard, if not most of the employees are working really hard, because that is the nature of the industry. So therefore, you're not unique if you're working the hardest. And as a leader, again, you are judged on on your performance, so on your output, not on the fact that you're the first one in and the last one to leave online or offline. So be mindful about what you're promising people. Really make sure that you're planning your work properly. Even take a leaf out of, say, a project or program manager in the tech team and, see how they schedule everything together. It's not a bad idea to have a back of the envelope style version of this as well, so that you know when are your peak times. And in finance, that's usually month end and year end, particularly with your team and budgeting times. And then where are your gaps where you can do some additional analysis and additional work, and therefore promise those pieces of work. So anyway, hopefully that's useful. I certainly have found that when I've made these mistakes in the past, not only are you losing trust within the business, and people start relying on you a bit less, and it affects your reputation essentially, but also it's really stressful. Like, you can get quite anxious and overwhelmed when you realize that there's all these deadlines and you're going to have to miss some of them. And not just you, but your team. You're really adding a lot of pressure onto the team, and probably the work output is not going to be as great if you're really piling it on. So really have a think about setting those expectations the right way. And again, under promising, really reducing that expectation, so then you can over deliver or just hit the deadlines that you promised. So I hope you find that useful. I have lots of other tips and resources available if you're interested on leadership. So I'll leave a link below for a free leadership guide that you can download. And also, I have lots of articles and resources about finance leadership within startups or scale-ups. So be sure to check that out and subscribe if you can. All right, I'll see you next week.